What do you do when you switch on your L300 Delica's headlamps, only to be greeted by a dark dash and no tail lamps? Panic. You should panic. Or, I suppose you could just fix your multifunction switch instead. Start by removing the plastic shroud around the steering column. Unfortunately, CJ is a crappy YouTuber and neglected to record that for you. Just look underneath and you will find the Phillips screws you need to remove. Once you have the shroud off, you will need to remove the horn button. Locate the single screw at the bottom and unthread it using your Phillips number 2, or a JIS if you have it. Don't be like CJ here and forget that the screw is captured. Of course, if you want to sit there spinning it all day like this idiot, who am I to stop you? Personally, I would suggest you just remove the horn button at this point. Then gently remove the horn wire from its connector. Now you can move on to removing the wheel. You will need a 19mm socket and either a large breaker bar, ratchet, or impact gun. Not a piddly little thing like a 1/4 drive impact. Now mark the steering wheel position with a marker so you put it back on straight. Just like CJ is showing you here, where he is most definitely marking the wheel position before taking it off. And 100% did not just pull the wheel off and reinstall it 30 degrees out like an idiot. To remove the wheel, firmly grip each side and work the wheel side to side. Don't just try pulling it, that's a brilliant way to knock yourself out with a steering wheel. Now you can go about removing the 2 screws retaining the switch assembly and lift the whole thing out. Follow the wires back down the column and under the dash. Removing the single screw holding the duct in place will allow you access to the plug. There is a locking tab you will need to depress in order to release the connection. Well, there should be, but this band is a real, gem. Inspect the plug for corrosion. If you see green residue, soak the plug in a bowl of vinegar. Next, CJ is taking the delicate and rather expensive multifunction switch and crushing it in a vise. It would probably be more advisable to place the assembly onto a support of some sort, but to each their own, I suppose. Next, the 2 screws retaining the cable shroud can be removed. With them out of the way, the front of the shroud will just unclip. The wiper circuit board is held in by 4 screws. Be careful not to lose the metal pivot plate. Now remove the 3 remaining screws holding the lighting switch, and lift the boards out of the way. Take note the pickups are sprung and would be more than happy to fly across the room and into the 4th dimension. There is also a small ball bearing that resides at the end of the stock. Don't lose it. Now you should have a good view of the electrical contacts that will require our attention. Here we can see the switch component which slides up and down when turning the multifunction stock. The small copper pickups make contact with the copper traces on the circuit board and allow power to flow from the fuse block to the lighting circuit. At least that is what they are supposed to do. Over time, these contact points become worn, dirty, or corroded and no longer properly function. Using some brake clean or electrical contact cleaner, the old lubricant and carbon buildup are removed from the board. The more wear that occurs, the more the contacts arc. The more the contacts arc, the faster they wear. This will become very apparent shortly. Once the pickups on the board are cleaned, the switch simply lifts out of the housing. Take note of the large divot in the left pickup, as well as its orientation. This heavy wear is caused by a flaw in the design of the switch. When engaged, the pickup does not fully seat over top of the contact on the circuit board. This allows small amounts of arcing to slowly wear away at the copper contacts. Don't worry though, while we can't completely fix the issue, there is a trick to buy another 15 years of service from the copper. Using a small screwdriver, depress the locking tabs on the pickup and carefully pull it out of the retainer. Make sure you keep track of the little spring underneath. Next, using some fine grit sandpaper, smooth the contact surface of any imperfections and corrosion. Now the important part. Before reinstalling the contact into the retainer, rotate it 180 degrees. The divot should now be facing the back of the switch. This will allow for a much improved connection between the pickup and contact. Double-check the pickups move freely in the housing, and then move on to adding new lubricant to the board's contacts. Here CJ is using some dielectric silicone grease. Lubricant is important to ensure long service life from the soft copper contact points, so no matter how tempting it may be, don't skip this step. Spread the grease evenly over the contacts, and reinstall the switch. A small dab of grease on the spring will help hold the ball bearing in place for reassembly. Now it's just a matter of putting everything back into the van. But before we do that, if you would like to help support CJ and the channel, consider sending a super thanks if you find his content helpful. Or if you want to see more, smash that like and subscribe, as well as the bell notification to be notified when CJ releases a new video. Anyways, cue the reassembly power montage.
Hold on, don't click away quite yet. There is one more thing that you do need to know. If you've reassembled everything and your lights still are not working, don't worry about it. It is most likely this. So have a look here at my circuit board. You'll notice in the black section, it's not actually perfectly straight anymore. It seems to have a little bit of a curvature to it. And that's because my circuit board is warped. Now, if you think that this might be the problem, all you need to do is reach in behind your switch assembly and kind of pull the circuit board towards you just very gently. If your lights come on, then this is most likely what your problem is. But what happens over time is that warp eventually gets enough that the contacts pull away from the switch itself so far that they just no longer are touching and the lights don't work. So all you need to do is pull the thing back apart and just make sure that the contacts on the switch, or the actual pickup there, has enough travel in it. Sometimes it gets sticky and doesn't want to move up and down on the spring, so make sure that that's moving smoothly. If it is, you can try and bend it a little bit just so it puts a little bit more pressure on those rear contacts. Now if that doesn't work, you're going to have to get a little bit more drastic, and what you can do is take a couple of washers and place them underneath the retaining screws to help spread the load a little bit and get that little bit more squish on the circuit board against the actual housing assembly. Anyways, check out some of the other videos on the channel if you want to learn more. Otherwise, get out in the shop and do something, and we'll see you next time.